Alright, so I decided to make this video because I just feel compelled to tell my story, and it's a little hard for me to tell because most of you won't believe it. Even more of you won't understand it. And quite honestly, I'm still struggling with it to understand it. But I posted something very recently on Facebook about religion, and I used to post a lot about it. But let me just get into my story and why I kind of do that. In 2012, I was struggling with some religious beliefs of my own, and I just came to a point of complete frustration about who and what is God. So, yeah. And in my frustration, I just decided to scream out, if you're real, God, if you're real, why do you hide? And about 3 days later, I wasn't thinking about anything, and as most of you know, I'm a truck driver, so I'm sitting in my truck right now, much like I was that day when this happened to me. I'm sitting waiting at a dock, or waiting to get a door, not thinking about anything, and I happened to look down at my hand, no big deal, but when I looked, something was very weird. It was as if I'd never seen it before and didn't know what it was. I mean, that in itself, I know sounds like what, but as I get into my story a little bit, maybe you'll kind of get some context. But usually if you look at your hand, you say, well, that's my hand, no big deal. It's just, But when I looked at it, I was like, what the hell is that? And it was something that was not me, right? I mean, when you look at your hand, you think of it as part of yourself. But I didn't see it that way at that moment, and it was a very weird feeling. And I started to kind of just look at my surroundings, and the feeling of anything being separate from me, right, as I'm here and it's there, was gone. There was no separation. There was only one. Everything was just one thing, and it was all made of the same thing. I didn't understand what that was. I couldn't explain it, and I still can't really explain it other than to use the word consciousness, because I've studied a little bit, and that's the way they described it, so that's the way I understand it. But there was no way I could put it into words. So when people have religious beliefs and I kind of scoff at it a little bit, it's because I understand from that experience that what your religious beliefs are simply that, a belief. And if you look at what a belief really is, it's just a thought that you believe in, right? You have faith in that belief, and because you believe it, you want it to be true, because that's just what the mind does. It wants to be right, and we'll argue and have wars and fight to the death to be right. So the reason I'm making this video is for a couple of reasons. One, because I'm trying to understand. I'm still, that experience was in 2012. Here we are in 2018, and I'm still trying to figure that experience out. I'm still trying to not figure it out, but to come to grips with it. What the hell was that? Still, I still kind of ask myself, what the hell was that? But it was. I talk about peace, and that experience was such a perfect peace, because the sense of identity of I am Rick, I am this body, I am my thoughts, whatever, right? All of that was just gone, missing. And there was nothing left. It had no substance. And everything that had happened in my life prior to that, and in some ways since that, has no meaning. It's no substance. And to try to sit here and explain this to anybody is really hard, because I don't even understand it now. So again, why am I making this video? Because one, I want people to understand that your religious belief is not true. What's true is you are everything, everywhere, all the time. And you've never been anything but that. And you never will be. So that when you die, the only part of you that dies is what you believe. I believe I am this body. I believe I am my mind. I believe I am this person. And I believe I am this personality. But from that experience of that being all of a sudden ripped away from me for however long that was, and it came and go for that experience for me, came and went for about 2 weeks, where I kind of fell in and out of that state, I guess you could call it. I don't know what other word to use. So again, why am I making this video? Because I want people to understand that. And I'm also hoping that if anybody else out there has had that experience, that they will contact me and we can discuss this a little bit and share the difficulty of knowing this and coming to grips with it, and the struggle that comes from living in a world knowing that nothing is really important, that nothing really matters, and yet living as if it does, and the paradox of knowing that and trying to come to grips with that. If you've had that experience and you're dealing with that, I want to know about it, because I want to talk about it. If you've not had that experience and you want to hear more about it, I'm all about sharing that with you, so that you can at least mentally understand it, because unless you've had that experience, you won't understand it. And like I said, I've had that experience and I still don't understand it. So how can I expect someone else to understand what that experience is like when I don't? I just know that's the truth, and to be able to put it into words is impossible, because what that experience showed me is, as soon as you try to describe truth, you've made it something that it's not. Immediately. So all we can do is point to it, right? But if you point to the moon, there's an object there. But when you point to truth, there's no object. So there's nothing to point to, which makes truth really hard to not only live but accept and to explain. I'm trying to get the glare off here a little bit. So that's what I want to talk about with anybody that's willing to either listen, or someone that's had that experience and is trying to come to grips with it. So that's what I made this video about. So when you see posts about Christianity and why I kind of mock it a little bit, the reason I do that is so that I can hopefully have this conversation with somebody and share what I know, and hopefully it will open their eyes a little bit to what they've been told is a lie, and to share that heart. And maybe that's a cruel way to go about it, but sometimes it's just, I don't know. I just, it's just one approach. So that's all I have to say. Thanks for listening. If you've, got through this video this far, I hope you contact me or whatever you want to do with it. So that's all I got to say. Thanks.